Hi, my name is Liz Leggett. Welcome to the final episode of Tools for Perseverance, brought to you by the Houston Methodist Music Therapy team. I just kind of wanted to recap. Last week, we talked about kind of the difference between emotion, feeling, mood. Jennifer Townsend talked a bit about how do you kind of deal with those emotions or mood states that you encounter, and are they healthy skills that you're using when you find yourself in those states? And so you've kind of seen that all of us throughout this week have used this metaphor of surfing or the ocean or waves, which is why you see this beautiful picture on the screen right now. We've kind of used this metaphor to talk about how we encounter moods or feelings and how they lead us to coping skills and things like that. So today I'm going to be specifically talking about how we can use music to cope in positive ways. So if we kind of recap, we look back, we talk about this metaphor of surfing. The first step in surfing is you have to recognize the best wave to surf. So it's kind of watching and waiting for that good wave to come along. And then you learn techniques for learning how to stand up on the board. And then you actually practice surfing that wave. So you get up and you will probably fall multiple times. And this is a good metaphor for coping, because the positive coping skills aren't always easy to utilize. You have to practice them. And it involves a lot of trial and error and falling off the board and having to get back up again. And so this is why we use this metaphor. So I'm going to kind of move on here to the next slide, and we'll get into the meat of what we're going to talk about today. Let's see. Effort is not going to the next slide. Let's try this. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to talk specifically today about how you can use music to cope. There are a whole lot of ways that you can use music to cope when you're having a tough time or going through something new or difficult. Music is really pretty cool because it can work in so many areas of your life. And especially now that, collectively, we are going through something a little bit traumatic, all of us, with this COVID-19 pandemic. We have lots of areas, all of us, that I'm sure we're struggling in. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about how each of these ways, how we can use music in each of these areas. So we talked about mood. Sometimes we just wake up and we are in a mood and maybe just not feeling like we're going to have a good day from the start. There is research out there that shows that singing every day can actually increase your happiness on a day-to-day basis. So even though it may seem silly, get in the shower, sing in the shower. It can help you increase your mood, feel a little bit better, just kind of start your day out that way. And something else that we talk about is matching music to your mood. And so probably every one of you at some point has felt really sad. And what you've done is you've gone in your room and you've turned off the lights and you've put on the saddest music you've ever listened to in your life. And ultimately, it leads you kind of to this cathartic moment where you maybe cry and you get it out and you feel better. And that's because you're using mood congruent music that matches that mood, validates that mood, and helps you then to move away from that mood. The best way that I kind of describe it to people is if you are having a terrible, terrible day and somebody comes up and pats you on the head and says, cheer up, be happy, that makes you feel much worse usually. You might have a negative reaction and say, no, everything's not okay, and don't tell me that it is. It's the same way with music. You want somebody to come up and say, you seem really sad right now. I'm sorry you're feeling sad. and you want someone to validate you. That's the same thing as music. You want that music to validate how you're feeling. So what we do is we match our mood with that music, and then ultimately we can choose a new song after we've gotten out that release that maybe leads us to a different mood of feeling happier or calmer. So that's kind of how, in general, how you can use music to improve your mood. Something else that we might all be dealing with specifically now, as we're all, social isolating, we're self-isolating from others. You might feel isolated or like you've lost connections with people. Maybe you're working from home. Maybe you're not seeing coworkers or people in general. A great way to use music in this situation is maybe attend a virtual concert online with friends via an online platform. Usually I would suggest going to see a live music performance with friends or family, but that's not an option right now. So there are just a plethora of online platforms where you can watch with people and experience music that way. Something else you can do using music to make connections with other people is talk to your loved ones about what you've been listening to lately. Pick an album that you've really enjoyed and talk to a friend or talk to a family member about what you've listened to and why, and maybe they can share one as well. You're making those connections. You're talking about music. We're going to move on. Some other ways that we can use music are to improve motivation. So, we've talked about before when you wake up in the morning and you're kind of not feeling it for the day. Maybe you don't want to get up and turn your computer on and start your workday. Maybe you really know you need to exercise, but you just don't have it in you. Or maybe you need to clean the house, or maybe you have kids running all around and it's feeling overwhelming to you. Music can be such a fantastic motivator. If you want to motivate yourself to do some of those things that involve more energy and kind of brain bandwidth, you put on your favorite upbeat song playlist, and it's going to really help you kind of get that oomph that you need for the day. That's why you hear people listening to faster music when they're going for a jog or a run, because it really scientifically is proven to help your heart rate increase and kind of really entrain your body to do what you need to do at that moment. So I would always suggest go into your favorite music streaming app, or even just use YouTube, create a playlist that has that upbeat, faster tempo music, and put that on when you're really lacking the motivation that you need to do what you really need to do. So that's a great way. Another great way to use music is for kind of self-expression and creativity. Right now, something you might be feeling is, you're feeling all these emotions, you're in a mood, and you just don't quite know the words to express how you're feeling, or you just feel like you need to get something out. Music is a great facilitator for that. Something that we do as music therapists quite frequently is take songs that you know and you love, and we rewrite the words to those songs with words that express how you're feeling. This is a great thing to do. You can do it on your own. We sometimes call it musical Mad Libs. You can kind of just take out words and replace them with your own. Something else you can do is you can learn an instrument or practice singing. Like we talked about, singing really does help to improve your mood. And right now we could all use a little dose of, self self-encouragement and we want to feel good about ourselves, maybe taking on that piano in your living room that you've meant to learn for years but haven't gotten the chance to, now's a good time. Now's a great time for that. There are all sorts of tutorials online that you can follow, things like that. And when you're actively doing this, you're not going to be worrying about all the things that are on your mind and that are worrying you right now. So this is a great thing to do for creativity and self-expression. And another way that you can use music to cope is if you are feeling stressed, wound up, like you're just really maybe not able to fall asleep easily at night, things like that. You can use music to help you relax. And what we know is that music that's predictable and familiar to you, that you know is going to be the best music to help you relax when you're having a tough time or you're feeling stressed or anxious. There are also all sorts of online meditations or guided imageries that you can listen to along with music that will guide you through kind of a relaxation script. And that music really helps facilitate the relaxation response. I would suggest, if you're going to do that, to choose music that does not have words, because you can't really listen to two things at one time. So that's my suggestion there. So these are in general, all of these different ways that you can use music to cope. So I created a little challenge for y'all to give a try this week or today after we finish this. I'm sure all of you have probably heard the song Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon and Garfunkel. And so if you are watching this on your phone, you can do a screen grab of the QR code and scan it into your QR reader. Or if you're watching this on the computer, you can just use your phone and scan that code. It will take you to a YouTube video of the song. So what I invite you to do is to listen to the song, Bridge Over Troubled Water, and notice, take a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper and notice which lyrics stick out to you. Why are they sticking out to you? Do you have a connection to this song? Kind of jot down some things on some paper. And think about, how does this song connect to all of the things that we've talked about this week? And look at this following picture. You can print this out, and there's some little instructions up here. So on the water below, you can imagine this is kind of a raging river. I want you to write down the things you're stressed about, the hard times you're going through, the things that are out of your control right now that are just kind of rushing by and over you. You can write words, you can draw pictures, whichever, on the water portion. And then I challenge you to, on this bridge, to write down who, what helps you to navigate those waters, okay? So this would be, a good example would be a coping skill that you've identified that really helps you. So maybe one of the ones that we just spoke about. Maybe when you're feeling really, really sad, you listen to music and it helps you get out of that. Whatever personally works for you. So you're going to have a whole set down here of your challenges, and up here on the bridge, you're going to have the things that you do to get through those challenges. And when you are finished with that, hold on to that picture. And anytime that you're feeling really overwhelmed or anxious or stressed, you can pull that out and you can look at it and you can remind yourself of the coping skills that you've identified, the things that really help you get through your challenges. And it's a good visual reminder. We all need that right now when we're going through tough times. And also, if you lose your paper or whatnot, you're going to listen to that song again and you're going to remember having done this challenge and this activity, and you're going to be reminded of what your bridge is when you're going through troubled times. So this is just a cool little activity you can do to help you with what we've discussed today. So that is what I have for you today, and I'm just so glad that y'all have tuned in, and I hope that this series has been helpful. We've been just so grateful to work with Jessica on this, and we hope that it's helping you through these uncharted waters right now.
Liz, thank you. This has been amazing.
Good. Thank you for having us.